A female elephant was experiencing her second pregnancy, but this time the birth was particularly long and exhausting. After hours of intense pain, she finally gave birth. The park team was eager to see the newborn, but when they spotted the calf, they were completely stunned. When the staff at Amboseli National Park in Kenya noticed that a resident elephant was showing signs that labor was imminent, they quickly called the veterinarian to assist with the birth. This wasn't the animal's first calf. 2 years earlier, she had already given birth, and her first pregnancy had almost gone unnoticed since she carried the baby quietly, without many signs of stress or discomfort. However, this time, the team identified the pregnancy in advance. She was visibly heavier and somewhat clumsy, appearing uncomfortable and struggling to cope with the gestation. Due to this evident discomfort, the caretakers decided to monitor her closely, ready to act when she began to pace restlessly in her enclosure and trumpet loudly. However, labor this time proved to be much more complicated than the previous one. She was in intense pain for several hours, crying out to her herd and the team as if pleading for help. Nothing seemed to soothe her. She moved incessantly, rubbing against trees, while the birth progressed very slowly, making the process even harder to endure. Her cries echoed through the jungle, reverberating off the nearby mountains. Predators and scavengers began to approach, drawn by the commotion and the prospect of an easy meal. Fortunately, the elephant had the protection of her herd, which formed a defensive circle around her. The herd was also deeply concerned for her, but focused on keeping intruders at bay. The park team anxiously waited to see if she would manage to overcome the ordeal she was going through. The on-duty veterinarian watched closely, ready to intervene if necessary, when suddenly, she fell completely silent. After a few tense moments, one of the staff approached to check if the birth had been successful and was met with something entirely unexpected. He immediately called everyone, shouting in shock. The other team members rushed over and were astonished by an extraordinary scene. She had given birth to twins. This was extremely rare. Now everything started to make sense. That was why she seemed so large during the pregnancy. She was carrying 2 baby elephants, not just one. After the initial shock and excitement of seeing the twins, the team soon became seriously concerned. Twins in the wild are rare for a reason. Mammals like elephants are not biologically equipped to raise more than one calf, as the effort required is extremely exhausting. This often leads to the abandonment of the weaker of the two. The team wanted to intervene but knew they couldn't. Working in a national park means letting nature take its course, which in this case meant observing from afar and seeing what would happen. They continued to watch the mother closely, anxiously waiting to see how the twins would behave. Watching a newborn attempt to stand is always an adorable sight. They wobble as if they're drunk, unable to keep their balance. Sometimes it seems like their legs aren't even part of their body, and it was no different with the twins. When one of them finally managed to stand up, he seemed strong and fairly confident. He was quite robust, and the team could already imagine him as a big, dominant male in the future. His brother, however, was having more difficulty. He struggled just to get up for the first time, trying his hardest, but his efforts didn't seem enough. From where they were, the rangers could tell how exhausted he was from the effort. While understandable, his lack of energy was worrisome. Things didn't look good for the second twin. When the mother elephant saw the second baby lying in the grass, she appeared visibly concerned. Despite being exhausted and unsteady, she approached him. She nudged him with her trunk and then began to make worried sounds in his direction. The rest of the group noticed this change and slowly started to approach to understand what was happening. However, as they got closer to the apathetic twin, the tone changed. The group also sensed the tension and began to show concern over the situation. For the park team, it was distressing to watch, but there was nothing they could do. This is how elephants process what is happening. The second twin seemed like he wouldn't get up again, and the group was already starting to mourn what they likely thought would be his imminent death. After all, a wild animal that can't walk is an easy target, and everyone knew it. Then once again that day, he gathered all of his strength and tried to stand. When he finally managed to lift his body slightly off the ground, something incredible happened. As he struggled to rise, he braced himself to fall again. But this time, that didn't happen. To his surprise, his mother had wrapped her trunk around his body and was holding him up. This unexpected gesture gave the little elephant new energy. He managed to keep his balance when his mother finally let him go. With the help of his attentive mother, he was able to stand and take his first steps. The herd celebrated enthusiastically as they saw the twins walking. The members of the herd raised their trunks and made harmonious sounds, signaling to the entire valley that the new members were doing well. Few could claim to have witnessed the birth of elephant twins with such cooperation among the herd members. What did you think of this story? Leave your like and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.